Hello, agus fáilte go trí seascad, a sin ráiste torsúcamh na scíalchan as bhrosnachail bó spórs Pauline NicDhòmhnaill. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus cha mí toilteire as callroom san studio Àrd-Choidse na h-Alba fu is 7 bliana díag Pauline NicDhòmhnaill. Ar program na heiche noch, a sé an SWPL Chiad an déidir cheachcin, bhir mi hín is Pauline súlarás na hachar. Cluinnidh bó skipper St Johnstone Nicola Jameison agus mar h-Alba an SWPL ga. Agus brúne sin Cerys McCrindle gus fáinamach carson go measail bhí snàmh son Àrd-Choidse. Pauline, welcome back to 360.
Thank you.
Back for 2022. I know there's so much to talk about and so much to cover coming up for the year ahead. But first of all, we have to congratulate you for the announcement of completion of your UEFA Pro licence. You must be so delighted with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was an incredible learning and development journey with a great group of ex-pros, coaches, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the kind of last few activities were cut short and everything was virtual after that. But you know, these things happen and it's just what we have to deal with. But overall, yeah, I'm absolutely delighted.
Well, really good work and well done. But let's start off with SWPL 1. The league is back after the Christmas break, and what a dramatic first weekend to have.
Yeah, I don't think it probably, well, maybe it could have went better for some teams, but you know, for the neutral, really exciting fixtures, some great goals and extremely, you know, closely contested between some of the teams. So yeah, a great start back.
And you're with BBC Alba at the Hibs Celtic game. I mean, what are your thoughts on that initially, on how you think that went?
You know, the last two times the teams have met has been very closely contested. I think Celtic have won both 2-1. For me, Celtic looked good in the first half, started very well, really good fluency in their attacking play, but maybe the final third decision making you could see just wasn't quite where they were at the end of last season. But fair play to Dean Gibson at Hibs, made a little bit of a tactical change, and Hibs were probably for me the better team second half, and you know, never gave up, and probably 1-1 was a fair result.
A lot of chances in that second half as well. There could have been many more goals than actually just 1-1. Yeah,
they could have, and I think, you know, maybe the week previous both teams' cup games were obviously postponed, which has maybe kind of upset the preparations a little bit, because you could see that, you know, throughout the game there was probably more unforced errors than you would normally expect from two teams of that sort of calibre.
And we know Dean Gibson will be happy with that point. What about Fran Alonso dropping points there?
Dean, definitely, he'll feel like it was absolutely deserved, and I would agree with that. From Fran's perspective, I think Celtic created enough good chances to maybe have the game kind of over the line within the first half, if I'm honest.
If we move on to Glasgow City against Hamilton, that was another last minute goal, 87th minute to win 1-0. Were you expecting that?
No, probably not. You know, I don't think anybody would expect Glasgow City not to win that game much more comfortably. But you know, the end of last season probably wasn't their best spell, and obviously the break can take its toll. New coaching staff. From a Glasgow City perspective, however, they got the job done. They always have that mental strength and that determination to continue, which at the end of the day probably won them 3 extremely valuable points.
Well, Hamilton, they still sit bottom of the table, but actually for 87 minutes of that game, it was 0-0. Do you think they were maybe thinking, actually, we could pick up a point here?
Yeah, they probably were. You know, having watched the highlights, obviously their goalkeeper had a fantastic 90 minutes, and it was lovely to see Priscilla Chinchilla, you know, go up and congratulate her at the end of it. Probably for Gary Doctor and his staff, they'll be quite disillusioned after that. However, they have to focus on the 87 minutes of really good tactical, close, compact defending to restrict Glasgow City to maybe not as many attacking opportunities as they would have thought they would have had. And as I say, you know, the goalkeeping performance was quite exceptional.
If we look up at the top of the table, we've got Rangers still up there, very dominant force this season, 5-0 against Hearts. Probably a scoreline that you would maybe expect, because there have been some very high scorelines.
Yeah, I think, you know, Eva Olid spoke about it in her post-match interview, and you know, against the top teams, when you make individual errors, you know, they have the ability to really hurt you from those situations. And I think you could see that within the highlights of the game. But like you say, yeah, Rangers will be absolutely delighted. They've maybe had a little bit of a difficult time coming back as well with COVID cases and injuries. So for them, it's probably the perfect result in terms of their first fixture in 2022. And
just elsewhere around the league, some other great results. I mean, Spartans coming back from 2-0 down to win 3-2, and a 2-2 draw between Motherwell and Partick Thistle. If we just look at the league table as a whole, I mean, there's not much separating. You've got the kind of three teams, Rangers, Glasgow City, Celtic. A bit further up the table, then we've got Hibs, a few more points behind. But then actually, the bottom half, the bottom 6 teams, only 7 points separate them.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think that's really exciting because on a weekly basis things can change quite dramatically. I know obviously on the back of Spartans' result they moved 3 places up the table, and having watched that game as well, you know, the experience of bringing on Alana Marshall later on in the game and her delivery really, for me, changed the game and changed the outcome of the game for Spartans. But like you say as well, closely contested between Motherwell and Partick Thistle as it has been prior. So yeah, it was just a really, really exciting game or return to SWPL 1 fixtures at the weekend.
We still have a long way to go in the season. How do you think it's going to shape up now?
You're right, we have a long way to go, and I think that it's just about, most of the coaches will agree, you just have to take things on a week-to-week basis. Obviously we're still trying to come out of the pandemic, so you just don't know what kind of challenges you may particularly, or you may be faced with. But yeah, I think the top 3 I think will continue to maybe take points and stretch the kind of the points tally between 3rd and 4th, but I actually think in terms of the bottom half of the table, I think that's going to remain close throughout.
It could go anyway, actually. Definitely. It's a great one to keep an eye on. Thanks very much. Halan is skipper St Johnstone Nicola Jameison chud darab sa hai fine amach as an SWPL ja. Initially Grant Scott ac yn stiùir hain dùthaich Cluinnidh gai vanach measail agus a free of league around.
Fa skipper St Johnstone Nicola Jameison and Miss Jeffer Sporson was the chiad ball kosher Lentig.
I have always been involved in sport, whether it was gymnastics, swimming, ice skating. I did it all. And then when I started football, that took over. That was my main focus. That was my main enjoyment. So here I am. I think I was about 7 or 8, and we actually got handed out leaflets from the school about starting up a football team, and I had never played football before, so I went home. I was like, Mum, I want to go. And she was like, okay, because obviously I did everything else at the time, so she was like, oh, here we go, another one. And I turned up to the session, and that was me. Like, I loved it, and I don't think Mum was too happy about dragging me about the place even more now, but no, I just absolutely loved it, and I continued, and then I joined a girls team. And then now I'm at St Johnstone.
Chai Nicola Trá Academy fod yn Hibs, agus a jiw chaine chanaike van a vai an the nature.
Oh, that was brilliant. That was a massive part of my life, because that's obviously what I grew up with. I think I was 9 or 10 when I first started with Hibs, and I started at the under-11s and worked my way right up to the under-23s. So leaving was actually quite hard, because obviously that was like my football career at the time, like my full football career. So I loved it, but these things come to an end, and I started a new challenge.
Gag Nicola Hibs a toshige pandemic. Va mi chi'n jaich gymedriach yn ocean, was the hoshigi trainer Colleague St Johnstone.
I was worried, because obviously it was harder to then get training because of all the rules and everything. My mum and dad were a massive support. They helped me out. They took me to training because I had no idea where I was going. So they definitely calmed me a lot through it all, because I didn't know what was going to happen with football in general, especially women's football. So it was nice to have that support. When I was at Hibs, Jason, the old coach, he made an approach, and then we were going to work out like a loan deal, and then COVID came along and kind of chucked everything up in the air, and then it eventually led to me leaving. And I was training with Glasgow Women and St Johnstone, because Glasgow Women also got in touch, and so I was training with both, and then I just decided St Johnstone was the one. I felt most comfortable there. I felt like I'd been there for years, so I thought that's the right decision for me.
Chai Nicola a henimachach mar skipper a club a úr, agus I fada can godúlach sin leisachach orm ar Cluinnidh.
It was amazing. I was so honoured, because obviously I haven't been at the club long, so when they spoke to me, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, like they've chosen me. I was so happy. It's definitely one of the top moments in my career so far, actually. You have to take the step up. You can't just, sit back. Like if players are having like a wee muck about and it's not really the time for it, you have to be the one to be like, right, come on, get your head back in it. So you do have that wee bit extra responsibility, and you're also like, you need to lift the team. And obviously everyone needs to lift each other, but you need to be there for the players who can't quite do it themselves. So it's definitely a step up, but obviously I was ready for it, so that's helped.
Sé táiseach í dudh a hidrianto St Johnstone an Taesanse, si at the sríle Cluinnidh an fáileáin agus bu COVID. Ach for stiùir manager úr Grant Scott, han skippe a dachas a tócalára son a blianach in the héing.
I think it's been hard for us so far, because we've had so many bumps in the road. Obviously with coaches leaving, players leaving, we just about folded at one point. There was a bit of lack of communication between the men's team and our team, but that's Sam Milne came in and she's sorted all that out. She's been absolutely brilliant. So, and obviously we've got a new coach, Grant, that's a massive boost for us. So I think now we can settle, because we know we're not falling apart. And I think next year is going to be our goal to start improving. It's brilliant. I think everyone at training is stepping up, because they want to improve the new boss man. But I think that's what we need. We need someone to push us that extra mile, just because obviously if we want to get anywhere, you need to put the effort in. And having Grant, who's so experienced and he's done so well in his coaching career as well, it gives us a lot of hope and confidence for the season ahead.
Chanela Himmers Nicola I bhí furusta, as he a gamasad bliana harabachal Colin in a saints. Agus cúte chandachas na Hamasan Eile, aiche a riing.
I think just now we want to win as many games as we can. We've obviously not had the best start, but I think everything's settled. We can properly go at it, and then hopefully we could get promoted into the SPL 1. That's probably a big goal for the team. But for now, it's just take each game as it comes and do what we can, try and get 3 points. I would love to play SPL 1. That's definitely my first goal. And then maybe further down the line, head down south to England and make a proper career out of it. That would be a dream come true. I'm not going to lie, it hasn't been really smooth. There have been bumps in the road, but the fact that I've managed to just get through that is massive, and it just shows if you really commit to something, you can get there, you can achieve these goals. So it's just powering through the hard times, really.
Pauline, Nicola is somebody that you have worked with in the past, so it must be really nice watching that and actually just seeing how far that she has come and developed football-wise too.
Yeah, definitely. I worked alongside Nicola in her kind of younger days. She was part of the City of Edinburgh Council Girls Football Academy, and you know, she was a real lively, bubbly character, and she looks like she's matured into a really lovely young woman, and great to see her still involved in the game and being given the accolade of captaincy at our new club.
That's the thing, she is still involved in the game, but you can tell that she does have ambition to keep pushing on now too.
Yeah, she definitely has, and I think you listening to her story as well, sport has been a big part of her life, even if it wasn't just football, maybe in the younger days. And I think, you know, what's really refreshing is she is still very ambitious, and sometimes girls at that age can become a little bit distracted, and we lose a lot of players from the game. So it's fantastic that she's continuing on. She's got her sights set on potentially maybe playing SWPL 1 or even looking further afield, and I think that she'll be an important player for Grant Scott and St Johnstone this season.
Even when you hear the likes of Nicola saying that she does want to look further fields, like she mentioned down in England, what can we do up in Scotland? I know we've spoken about it before, but what can we realistically do to retain players up here? Because we know how beneficial it is, and actually seeing them develop, and then for the likes of you going then on to play for the national teams.
It's a little bit of a challenging one. I think probably, you know, we have some obviously professional clubs within the SWPL 1 at the moment, probably looking for more teams to shift towards that. But also, I think it's really important for the clubs to really look at the young talent that we have coming through and look at the long-term development of those players, and not maybe sometimes, I'm not going to say a quick fix, but, you know, what potential does that player have in the longer term, and not just in that maybe interim 6 months or 12 months, because just now I think that some of our youth players are kind of stuck in a little bit of a rut because they can't get minutes for SWPL 1 teams. They're playing at maybe youth football level, but in terms of their development, it's maybe just not challenging them in the ways that we would hope.
And that's what you need as a Scotland coach for these players to get game time to then push on and make their way up to the A squad.
Yeah, definitely. It's you know, it's something that both the clubs and the Scottish FA have identified, and it's just how we bridge the gap for those young players to ensure that transition from youth football to SWPL 1 or SWPL 2 is a much smoother one.
Well, there is still a lot to develop there, but if we do go back to St Johnstone and Nicola, it's really good seeing that Grant Scott has taken the reins there, because that is a very, again, ambitious appointment. But you do hope that, like she was even saying, the players want to prove a point now. They want to show that they are good and they can really push on. Is that a team that can go for promotion?
You know, I think listening to Nicola and knowing a little bit about the situation at St Johnstone, it's been really quite a traumatic time, probably for the staff and the players. But the fact that they've come out the other side of that with actually a really positive situation and a full-time head coach stroke academy manager, you know, I think it's an extremely exciting time probably to be a St Johnstone player. If they had been asked maybe 6 months ago, did they foresee this coming? I'm sure the answer was probably no. I think for Grant and the players, the challenge is now to stable the ship, to potentially look at bringing in players that will help them secure promotion if it is to be this year. But I think, you know, for Grant also, you have to look to the longer term, and if you get that promotion, what do you need next? Not just in the terms of players, but also the holistic approach and the support systems that are in place for both the players and the staff to play at that top level.
It's really nice to see for Nicola too, actually, because like she mentioned, at the start of the pandemic, she was without a team. That must have been quite a scary prospect. So to see kind of what's developed in that time, it's actually been a huge change. Oh,
absolutely, and probably very unexpected. I'm not sure any of us, had we been asked that question way back, would have probably foreseen what's happened. But I think it's fantastic from St Johnstone, from the club's perspective as well, with a little bit of support from Sam Milne. They want to invest. They see, you know, that there's a good product there, and they want to help drive the girls and women's game forward within that region. And I think that that's fantastic. And I really look forward to seeing how things develop at the club.
And that can only be a positive thing for SWPL2 and SWPL1, because they'll be seeing the likes of St Johnstone appointing a full-time coach and actually showing that these teams are dedicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, probably as much as Grant might have wanted to be or remain in SWPL1, I know that, you know, he's very passionate and he's always wanted to work full-time within the game. So, you know, he has that opportunity. He has a clean slate as well in terms of how the club will develop moving forward. And like you say, you know, other teams sitting above them in SWPL2 or that are within SWPL1, yeah, it's a little bit of maybe an eye-opener.
Absolutely. So, I mean, definitely a team to watch.
Definitely a team to watch. And, you know, Nicola spoke about it. Grant's got a lot of experience. You know, he's had a very positive time or positive involvement with numerous teams as a coach. He's been very, very successful, and he will have a good network to go and tap into to help his team get to where he wants to be.
Great. Well, they're definitely one that we'll be keeping on our radar.
For sure.
Han snàmh Cerys McCrindle and dùthaich tuailg bhosnachail son albanas an mechéad bhliana. Hel sin an amar snàmh ina dùthaich son feinmach cuide hóisií snàmh agus bhrósnachail a beaglach a gléis.
Tá snàmh Cerys McCrindle idir bhí a snàmh go farpaiseach fan a bhaid ina Cluinnidh, agus bhaid sillar an nuair sin go talentaiche san spárs. Le taith fan deolach agus na coachíche naiche, hainis uine na snàmh na cervical a bhain ddiamh le Down syndrome an an Àrd-Choidse.
Well, I started competing when I was 11 years old. So I went to my first competition in Southampton. And one of my races where I found out I was qualified when I was brought too fast.
We don't have swimmers in our family, so it was quite a surprise when she was going along to the swimming lessons. They suggested she join the mainstream club. We went along there, and then one of the coaches there advised us that there actually was a separate pathway for disability swimmers that we didn't know anything about. So it was good to find out that information, and then we started heading along to these events. And as she said, one of the first events she went to was a Down syndrome only event in Southampton, and she was actually disqualified with a speeding ticket for going too fast. So we knew there then that she was doing okay. She enjoyed doing it, and it was something that she wanted to do. So we were happy that she'd found something she liked, and we were happy to pursue that with her.
Nu de huad Cerys aineachug mar snàmhatar, va a hada an a bhí chomá na súrin hí a bhí. Le upper chrúi agus taithfo skip a snàmh siúrach Àrd-Choidse, hai hásta leisig na skillan a ha aiche mar ha.
I joined the SWPL squad just after I competed with at Southampton's squad, and I went to join swim with the people with various disabilities. I quite enjoyed it, and also good coaches as well that trained really hard to get advice to and tips to get fitter and faster in the pool.
Working with Cerys is without a doubt an absolute delight. Given instructions, she will go out of her way to excel in doing it. She pushes herself probably more than I've seen a lot of swimmers do in the past. And she just gives absolutely everything she's got, even if she doesn't have it, she'll give it. Definitely committed. Not just in swimming, even the exploits out of swimming. So she got her teachers, she got like swimming teachers, she's also qualified as a dance teacher. She is like one of the bubbliest girls I've ever met as well, so she keeps things here quite lively with some carry-on and some dancing that when we do our dryland sessions.
Ha Cerys brechting rauchga hu grún tuirsin, a tócal buing agus a clara na húneach an a sér mar fáiste skippe agus na unar. Ha córta dí go mór a bhí a farpaiseach na ghaine bóid figa dúil, agus a ismúnding bhil na buing, díadach a cuide a hula sían.
It felt really quite good, really quite enjoyable. Also meeting different people and but not everything was about winning. It's more so I can train hard, and that's all I can do to get there. And winning medals is a good achievement as well. I felt honoured to be part of the team, yeah, being able to swim with different people as well. It's really quite good.
It's good to see that she can show other people that you can do things, you can achieve. It might not be in the mainstream level, but you can. There's pathways there for disability swimming, Down syndrome swimming, that you can go and be successful in that train. There's a pathway for everybody.
Fa hiún gudit ba Cerys Cervical ag farpais oscail to treigims na Àrd-Choidse, agus húdi málíon fo Parliament na h-Alba son a haie Januar son a spárs. Bhrosnachail Cerys a farpais son buing hai fiechan di taichahors can yoing áke an sa namar snàmh in a dùthaich.
Really enjoyed it, yeah. Really good for teaching young people and just to like kind of encourage them a bit more. Obviously it's kind of hard work getting to that stage, but yeah, really quite good teaching them and yeah.
Maar nach rán chlárach go trancailor, chlach Cerys a húne tronglasagar son a bhí na háte Zumba. By fiús a fiechan di a cóchluichetar in a chumal fut, le bhí tar seachad class Zumba id leine.
Zumba, yeah, really quite good and enjoying it, and obviously I'm a instructor now. It's just giving something else different to do than swimming. But yeah, it's really quite enjoyable to do. I taught about Zumba to my swimming team, the GB team, and yeah, I felt really good, and I'll be able to teach in the future of the more classes.
Se blian na gama mór eile a hánta Cerys, si a gamas id brichting a rocha chuúad eile. Rudigan a hai cuide dus gemór.
I'm actually going to Portugal in October with the GB team. So hopefully getting more hard work, train really hard for it, and try and get the times so I can go compete.
Yes, looking forward to hopefully qualifying for Portugal next year and going along and giving it our best, because she'll have, hopefully everything going well, she'll have a good chance to train from now right through to then, and she'll give it her best. If she wants to keep doing it, then we'll support her and we'll all be there, family, all flags and everything.
I would love to see any of the swimmers, especially Cerys, push herself and maybe one day actually make either Paralympic or further again with the Down syndrome swimming to more World Championships.
Se take ma bhrosnachail a hanlan Cerys, agus hain nas éisiamplar, seiltain checho cútramach sa gútach sport sa víta gúine. A Cerys agus a geolach a dóchas go bhid an scíalach eich go cúteachach de gúineile a ha fúling le ciúram.
Like any parent, you're proud of them all the time, but I'm so proud of her, what she does, what she puts her mind into, and I just hope that she can let other people with Down syndrome, with disabilities, other parents see there is ways of achieving and having a very good quality of life, and making the most out of what you've got.
Give it a try, just see what you can do, and if it's other than more kind of hard work, but yeah, I think you give it a go, just give it a wee try and see how it feels like with the water. Yeah, really good for me.
Pauline, what a heartwarming story. I just feel so happy watching Cerys because she's such an inspiring and amazing young woman.
Yeah, she absolutely is. Very kind, very humble, and a very thoughtful person, you know, in terms of she's thinking not just about herself, but what she can do to help others, inspire others. And
also, I mean, I don't know how she actually took it, but I loved hearing that she was disqualified for being so fast, because it just shows she does have such a talent in the pool. Absolutely, I'm not quite sure I've ever heard anything like that before. Not for sport. I'm not sure that many would take it in the way that she did, in the manner that she received it either. But yeah, a bit of a unique situation, I'm sure. But even going through that at such a young age and thinking, hold on, I'm actually going to keep going at this, because knowing that you've been disqualified for being so fast, you know, right, there's something here that I can work on and really excel at too. Yeah, definitely recognise that she has a real talent, and is obviously, you know, as much as it sounded negative, it's clearly spurred her on to really go and set her mind on, you know, achieving
bigger things.
Totally, and also listening to her coach and even her mum, you can just tell how much the people around her just love watching her succeed too.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, one of the key things that I took from the VT was that she's very, very focused on working hard and focusing on the things she can control, her performance, and not really maybe the outcomes in terms of the medals. And I think that's really valuable for young players, young athletes, to understand that, because the outcome is not something that's within your control. However, what you do on a day-to-day basis very much is, and that's where your focus should be. And
also using her time during lockdown to train as a Zumba coach. I mean, any kind of coaching is invaluable in sport to have at the same time alongside competing, which I know you really admire when you do see that happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, she's trying to develop herself in lots of different ways, and we spoke about it earlier, you know, that if you step out of your comfort zone when you're younger, I think, you know, it's maybe less stressful, you're less anxious. Whereas if you wait maybe till after your career, it can be maybe much more of a daunting prospect. But it's great to see that, you know, she wants to better herself in terms of her communication, her leadership, her ability to coach in different things. But listen, I'm sure she's an absolute dream to coach. That's your team session. Resolved. Cerys is taking the Zumba tonight, girls.
I think it's also so nice to see that she's such a shining example of somebody who just loves sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell.
Yeah, and that's definitely what shines through from it. And I think, you know, it just reminds us all that sport can be such a valuable vehicle for enjoyment, for camaraderie, and so many different things. And you can see that it's a part of her life that she thrives.
And that's the thing, she's another shining example for people of all ages and abilities, that, like her mum said, nothing is impossible. There are opportunities for everyone to be able to take part and really excel in sport.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably just about ensuring that there's an awareness of that and the communication of that, you know, from a regional, national level, because like they said, they really weren't sure that there was opportunities going to be available for Cerys. So yeah, it's about visibility, isn't it?
And that's the thing, you do hope that something like the Paralympics does give more visibility kind of every 4 years. You do hope that's something that Cerys does eventually manage to get to.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be the pinnacle of her career, but you know, given the enthusiasm and the love that she has for the hard part, you know, of elite sport in terms of training, you know, I wish her every success in the future.
Absolutely. Well, what a lovely feature. It was so nice to watch. But if we just move back to you and actually what's coming up for you in 2022, because I know the past couple of years during COVID with the under-17s, it has been hard. There's been a lot of hurdles that you've been trying to get over. Kind of camps have gone ahead and then you go out for games and then they're postponed. So what's on the horizon? What's next?
Well, we actually just had a camp at the beginning of last week, a 3-day camp through Oriam in Edinburgh, and I'm delighted to say we were there for 3 days. It was excellent to be back on the pitch with all the players. It was probably more of a rebuild and reconnect focus given what has gone before, but yeah, we're really excited. The players came back in very good physical condition. They were excited, and we've got a really exciting programme moving forward. We have a double header in Wales in 3 weeks' time, and then following that at the beginning of March we fly out to Albania to compete in the UEFA qualification phase. So yeah, it's a really quite intense but exciting time for a group of players that have really been through the mill and potentially, you know, could have challenged maybe their motivation and desire to continue within the sport, because there's been so many bumps in the road for them of late.
Are you feeling good and confident that things finally are back on track and actually games are going to go ahead now and you can really push on with this team?
I don't think you can ever be 100% confident in
we
this
know that
time,
over the past 2 years.
Unfortunately. But something feels slightly different in terms of the international challenge matches with Wales. We decided that we would take fixtures that were in Britain, so you know, if there was further travel restrictions to go abroad, we could still, you know, ensure that those games went ahead. So
smart move.
Yeah, fingers crossed on the 6th of February we'll be together and making our way down to Wrexham to fulfil both fixtures.
Good, well we wish you the best of luck, and Pauline, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
I'm sure we will see you soon.
Okay.
Well, sin áir san nach in acheach gain bhíróna haí callrooms in studio agus bísna coitar airs rí gamicin Olympicach a gheoirí. San edarama Jan Cín seach go bhfuil se bh lent an BBC Alba ar YouTube ar san na thula fis mu trí seascad ein. Hí sin sibh an acheach gain.